Hey, welcome back to another HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. We have good conversations with good people, and any good conversation worth having is worth having drunk. Cheers, my friend. Good to see
Giddy
you.
up.
Got my new cup here from our Director of Operations. Thank you, DJ.
Oh, yeah.
You.
Those are good cups. Yes, yes. I use mine on the weekend.
Oh,
Forgot to
there you
send a
go.
picture to her. But hey, that happens.
Awesome. I am excited for today's call. I think it's very pertinent, especially to what it is that's happening right now in the industry in terms of what's been a more mild winter season for a lot of Canada, a lot of the US, and being able to outbound to your current database in ways that will continue to add to your business throughout the entire year. I'm excited for today's call. We first met Jack, or I got to meet Jack in the airport in Austin as I saw them rolling through after the Profit Rocket event down there. I know you got a chance to actually talk with them while you were at Profit Rocket, but I'm super stoked to be speaking with one of the industry leaders in terms of outbound calling and someone who's been around since 98 doing the call centers. And so I'm really excited for today's conversation.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And look, I remember having a conversation with, actually, it wasn't Jack. I believe it was his team. It might have been Travis that I had the original conversation with. And then Jack came in and having a lot of fun with them. But just hearing their story, in terms of what they are able to do for businesses is phenomenal. And so excited to really dive into that aspect of things. But our show wouldn't, of course, be possible without our sponsors. CHIIRP and On Purpose Media, soon to actually be a lead call. So putting it out there for the interworlds. We just haven't added it on there yet. So CHIIRP is obviously the ultimate automation toolbox. It's for home service pros, helps you capture more leads, connect faster, and close more deals. Things that I like about it, text message rehash programs, automated text messages, emails, ringless voicemails, direct mail, getting more Google reviews, direct integrations with the big players on your field service management software. Be like Dave. He signed up in his first month, added $42K in revenue in business with CHIIRP. Cassie signed up, added $80,000 in revenue in just her first 14 days. You can get 25% off your first 3 months with chirp.com/HSSR. And of course, On Purpose Media, but Evan can talk about that one.
We'll get into that one as we get to the middle part of the show.
Just know if your home service marketing is messed up, On Purpose Media is the people that you want to call. Well,
without further ado,
let's get pitter patter. Let's get at her.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, a show where we interview industry leaders and disruptors, revealing the success secrets to create and unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Now your hosts, Thaddeus and Evan.
What's up, Jack?
What's up, Thaddeus, Evan? How you doing?
Good, and you?
Good. Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Who do you got in the background?
I got Travis. He's our director of sales. Travis, say hello.
Guys.
Hello to the world. We're glad to be here. So I appreciate the invite. Thaddeus, you and I talked about this a month and a half ago, and it came quick. I think it was November sometime. And my excitement was to do this right before the holidays. And here we are.
Right. The last one, by the way, before we break for whopping 1 week on our end of things. We'll be back on January 3rd. But appreciate you guys coming on. Looking forward to our conversation. I remember the preamble call, and I think we booked it for 15 minutes, and we ended up spending 30 talking about a whole bunch of different shit.
Can we do a cheers one more time since I poured for you both?
Yeah. Hey.
Cheers.
An amazing year. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Evan's drinking water.
Dylan's white whiskey.
White whiskey. Some white owl, some white whiskey. White and what way. All right, well, let's dive in. Jack, tell us about your start.
So we're blessed to come to this lane. It's been 2 decades. I've been in the outbound side. Started in the mortgage world, got into the residential side. We always did the home service side more with the manufacturers. So we were dealing directly with Trane and Carrier. They were doing co-op programs. There was a big need in this industry about 1.5 years ago. That was very evident by all the different podcasts and social media posts. And my sales team got aggressive, and we started going to events, and it's been a fun ride this last 18 months. So we just currently today do outbound telemarketing to current customers. We'll get into inbound middle part of 24, but it's been an exciting run, and we're just getting started.
I'm curious what some of the nuances were as you started to get into the trades a little bit more in the outbounding. What was different there versus the mortgage industry?
So mortgage industry is what we kicked off with.
Right.
It was during the refi boom, right? So to be able to do hot transfers to loan officers for Wells Fargo and Quicken Loans, it was a different audience. It was before telemarketing got so taboo. I mean, if you think about back then, we were capturing people's social security numbers over the telephone. Imagine that, and at about a 78% capture rate.
Jeez.
So a different
Good luck.
world.
Good luck getting that today.
Right.
Not today. We were getting date of
No.
birth, income. So, we transitioned during the collapse. We came back and got into the roofing sector. And, we always did, like I said, a little bit into the home service with the manufacturers. But it was a need. There's a lot of call centers that claim to be, dialing from the States. And they might have had an office in Colorado or Jersey. They just didn't share the fact that they were outsourcing to India and the Philippines and everywhere else. So this 22 years we've been blessed. We've only been in the States, and we're committed to stay there for the long haul.
Love it.
Yes,
In
sir.
terms of getting these tune-ups booked, because obviously right now, and I'm curious what you've seen in your trends here throughout the fall. We've seen very mild temperatures. We've seen, I mean, even in the spring and summer, it was pretty mild until July. Tune-ups being something that's incredibly important. It's going to be a driver of the business, membership sales, a driver of the business. It's how you maintain sales throughout any kind of downturn in terms of weather. What offers or how have you improved your booking rates throughout a time where there isn't the demand calls that you typically see?
So I think that is the most pivotal point, whether you have an in-house team or you outsource, is to have a efficient team that can reach out to your customers. Service Titan is really big on, you get inbound calls, you want to show that empathy. Someone's AC just broke, you want them to know that they care.
Mm-hmm.
Outbound, quite the contrary, they want to know that they're appreciated. And so especially this year, look at all the mild weather that we've had. So many of our private equities and larger players in this lane, to have a marketing partner that they're able to trust, to call their contacts, to call their customers. It was such a pivotal role for us to help them keep those boards busy this year. And so slower times, you're boosting those memberships, booking those memberships, but even your traditional tune-ups and crossovers as well. It was a powerful piece. It was the busiest year we've had, and that was complemented by the mild weather that we've had.
Right. So in looking at, you obviously empathy for inbound, it makes a ton of sense. We've had a lot of great individuals on the show that talk specifically about that and making sure, they're calling you with a problem. Want to be sympathetic and empathetic to their plight. But when you talk about the appreciated via the outbound, what exactly are you referencing there?
Sure. So I come from a coaching background. I coached football and hockey all the way through all four of my boys' career. And, when you're going to share a story, you want it to, to be able to know that you're real. And so to call you up, Evan, and be able to say, hey, thanks for being a loyal customer without any meaning behind it. How's that going to make you feel? If there's not meaning behind it, it's going to be, more of a disservice than a service. So we do a lot of coaching. We do a lot of huddles, and our team understands the importance that if I'm going to thank you for being a loyal customer, I want that customer to feel it. I want them to know it doesn't have to be crazy, but it's Travis, thank you so much for being a loyal customer. Rather, Travis, thanks for being a loyal customer. And so that tone, that delivery has everything to do with it. For our customers, or whether you're doing this in-house or not, if I'm going to call you a loyal customer and I'm going to give you an offer for a tune-up, it needs to complement the loyal customer message that you're delivering. So some people make the mistake and they'll do a tune-up that was normally $179 for $99 after they called you a loyal customer, but they didn't tell you that they just did a postcard for $79. And I can't tell you how many times we would have customers that they would deliver that offer from our customer, and they would actually say, so am I really a loyal customer? You're telling me $99 tune-up, and I just got a postcard in the mail last week from you for $79. And so we educate. If I'm going to call someone a loyal customer, I don't care if it's $5 less. Deliver an offer that is going to define me calling you a loyal customer.
those coupons and those offers for like the new customer only drive
Right.
me absolutely insane.
Sure. As it does the homeowners. And, again, people, they do a really good job at calling members. Not necessarily though, calling their non-member customers. And a same thing. I can't tell you how many times a day that our team reaches out to, to Tony, and you thank him for being a loyal customer. And Tony says, "Oh my God, I'm so glad that you called. I just got a postcard in the mail. I thought that was you." And, I was about to book with them. And so, reaching out to your customers before your competition does, is going to make or break how this year rolls out to maintain those current customers that aren't members.
It's almost like happy calls too, right?
100%. And what does everyone want today? They want to boost memberships. And I see it all over the board. Some people are at 3% and some are 23%. But to be able to deliver that value to your customers and explain the importance of a maintenance plan, that's all it takes. They want to be educated. They want to know the value behind it. And we have an amazing conversion in how we bring those customers in.
Smart.
We got off a Zoom call last week. It was a customer that they couldn't get past that 40,000 member mark. They brought a lot in every month, but a lot fell off. Their team that did it, they'll do it because it was an in-house team. They'll do it because you tell them to do it, but they don't necessarily like it. And it doesn't mean that they're very talented at it. Again, to call your member is easy. To call a non-member, a different story. So it was about a 6 months challenge. They could not surpass 40,000. We drove it to 50,000 in a very short period of time, but it's right. That's what our team does. We should be able to deliver that.
And is that in the initial call that you're reaching out to them and you're converting them at that point, or is this in the follow-up happy call afterwards?
No, I think it's how you manipulate your data as well. So if you're in any of your different CRMs, especially if you have extensive data of customers, you can pull that data. So like the way we recommend it, if you're going to take a 3 to 18 months customer that you haven't been in their home, a non-member, strategically, if I want memberships, I'm going to pull all the newer units that aren't members. And then we're going to educate them on the importance of having a maintenance program. If I want sales and I want service, I'm going to pull units that are 8 years old. And then we're going to go into it with a little bit of a different angle. But you should be doing both if you're looking to boost memberships. If you're just looking to fill your board, then give a great offer and book it up.
I love that. The psychology of an outbound caller versus an inbound caller. Walk us through what it is that you look for in someone who can fill that role, because what they're doing and the appreciation versus the empathy piece is dramatically different. What is it that you look for in your callers?
So let me define that question a little bit too, though. We do a lot of consulting that will go into in-house call centers and help them build their teams. They're two totally different personalities. To be fortunate enough that you can hire someone that can do both, it's a rare commodity.
Right.
Let your inbound team do inbound. If you're truly going to do outbound, then it is a completely different personality. It's not that typical customer service taking an inbound call. You got to have some personality. You got to be able to deliver a little bit of urgency and value in how you talk to that customer. If you're monotone, if you're boring, no one wants to talk to you. And both pieces are just important in that puzzle. But too many of these, doesn't matter if it's HVAC or home service, anyone, right? Stop trying to take an inbound agent and make them do outbound. You're hurting yourself, even on your conversions. Even if they do it, they're not doing it as efficient as they could if you had the right people or outsource to the right partner.
Right.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, like Evan and I came from Cutco, right? Selling, that was outbounding. The other job that we're at previous to this was outbounding, right? It was literally cold calls, 45 cold calls in a day. And that's what the goal was. And it was sometimes debilitating and tough on the mental psyche, right? And so looking at this, I guess it's kind of a little bit different than a straight cold call. But what sort of, training would you go and involve? Because you've got a great team, and I want to go down a little bit. We can get to the a little bit later, and you got some individuals in the background as well. But what sort of training are you? Let's say somebody wants to do this themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, they should probably hire a lead call and not worry about doing it themselves. But should they want to,
Sure.
Where would you point them to get some of the training to be able to train this outbound specialist?
Sure. Well, first of all, you got to go through the hiring process, right? We've all done it. It's how you hire. I know you had someone on a few weeks ago that was about the recruiting piece. who you bring to those doors determines if you can even train them. Do they have the right personality traits to do that? So first and foremost, define what is a successful outbound telemarketer. What are those characteristics? Well, they're not going to be boring. They're not going to be shy. They're going to have an outgoing personality. They're going to have a certain resilience to themselves, that they can not only be open to learn, but self-motivate. And so we talk about it all the time about, breaking up your day into smaller windows and set those goals and be able to adjust as you go. So, someone comes in and they have an 8-hour shift. Their goal should be upwards of 20 booked appointments a day. If they're 2 hours in and they have one, that doesn't mean that your day is blown up. Just readjust. You know what? This next hour, I'm going to get 2 booked appointments. Don't look through that rear view mirror, learn from it. What could you have done better? Maybe stand up, right? You're getting kind of content. You continue to just do the same repetitive behaviors that aren't delivering. Well, get up, have a little bit of fun with it. And, if they understand the value that they deliver, so majority of our customers, take that traditional $159 tune-up. I'd say our average offer is $39 to $69. That's a great value, right? You're cutting that number in half. Majority of the people, if you're doing it because of mild weather, for an example, it's because there's a capacity issue. So not only am I going to deliver a value from a financial piece, I get to book you in the next day. I can book you later this week. I coached hockey for a long time. One of our parents was an HVAC company here locally. He was I won't call him a friend, but we were connected. We had fun. We hung out. We drank. He'd take $20 off. But if I called him, right now and I said, hey, can you come tune up our house? He'll see me in 45 days. His capacity is crazy. So if you're going to do the outbound, educate your team on putting that urgency in there and deliver value. And don't let them hang out to dry. We break up in huddles 3 or 4 times a day. Right. You don't wait till the end of the day and be like, what went wrong? Fix it throughout the day. Coach them as a coach should be coaching.
Well, and I love the 2 components of that. Having them understand the why. Why is it that you're doing what you're doing? Because at the end of the day, making these calls is laborious. It gets tedious. It's boring. And then how do you break up and have fun with it and analyze the numbers throughout the day? Performance measured is performance gained.
Yes.
If you're not monitoring what it is that you're expecting, if you're not inspecting what you're expecting, then you're not going to be able to obtain the results that you're after. Or if you look at it too late, how many calls have you just burned through? How much of the list did you just burn through before you were able to actually make a change and create an impact? So I love both of those components.
It's critical, man. And celebrate success, right? Too many people, and we've fallen into that. You sit in a room and you figure out what went wrong. Why not go in that room and celebrate the success as well? What do you do right? So that we can take that core of what we identified as successful agents that deliver, and let's repeat that with our other agents. Put some healthy competition out there. You said it, have fun. Don't be boring, man. Your culture, our success is our culture. We create an environment that, people don't get up and say, I gotta go to work. People wake up and like, man, I get to go to work today. But that's because it takes a lot of hard work to create that culture.
No, it absolutely does. What are some of the things that you do to celebrate your people?
Recognition, right? They want to be applauded. You want to have, every day, every week we have different contests. We have posts of your successful agents. We huddle up every day at 8:30 and we talk about all the winning scenarios that we had the day prior, and we highlight agents that did really well. We don't call out the agents that didn't perform. I'm going to talk about people that did, and so that it can motivate others to show that it can be done. And so once you set that bar, you can't sit there and make excuses. Find the solution of why you're not performing at what others are already showing that they're able to do. So we're really good on data and letting that data tell a story about what's possible. If you're putting the right effort in.
Oh, makes sense. And again, as you're evaluating that multiple times a day, you're able to stay on top of it. Now, for someone who's the owner of the business, who's also overseeing this department right now, what sorts of tools or suggestions would you give to them so that they can properly monitor this in their business when there's 1,000 other things that they're also paying attention to, because they're still overseeing the sales, they're still overseeing the service, the install department, the dispatchers, all of it.
Right. Don't bite off more than you can chew. So if you're going to make that decision to implement a true outbound team within your environment, then make sure you have the right leadership to run it. The owner can't run that, not effectively. He or she's got just too much on their plate to do it. So you need to hire a coach. If you got 2 people dialing, fine. If you got 10 people dialing, different story. So we create and we recommend people should have a quality assurance team or person. Don't have a team of outbound agents and don't have eyes on those calls to not only coach the agents, but what about the effectiveness of how they're entering it into their CRM? How many times is an appointment booked and the agent accidentally puts the wrong date in? Susie took off work. She's a nurse and no one shows up. You have to have the quality assurance component, not from just a coaching lane, but from accuracy and how you're entering all your data in. So to answer your question, and have the right leadership.
Well, I mean, what if the business, well, like, all right, so let's walk it back a little bit. I mean, obviously, and I kind of almost want to get in terms of the culture conversation. Travis is behind you to talk about what it's like to actually work in a place with a great culture and what he's noticed from that's been instilled on the top down. Actually, let's just do that before we get into anything else, because I'm super curious. I want to get him involved in that, but culture is such a pivotal piece. And I think when you have a great culture with inside your HVAC business or home service business, these outbounds, if you decide to do it in-house, which again, probably shouldn't, right? It takes a specific skill set for that. Then, culture is going to be able to help people move that needle forward. So, Travis, curious on your thoughts on what you know and what you've seen in working, and you might have to get close to the mic so we can hear your voice good. We're putting you right on. He's like, oh no, I'm nervous. Okay. Yeah, just sit on his lap, just like Santa. I mean, Christmas is coming up, right? So he just says he goes gray. I think he trimmed his beard just for this show. So what's it like working within an organization that has a good culture? What have you noticed, some things that you appreciate that you think others should also put into their business?
Yeah, so I think a big piece is kind of acronyms, right? So we run CARE every day. So confidence, assertive, report, and energy. So each agent being able to work on kind of one of those pieces, a part of that, and kind of the camaraderie of our team, just being able to, like Jack said, give everybody the confidence to outbound. And Evan kind of hit on it. Outbound's tough, difficult. So when everybody's on the same page and brings the same amount of energy and confidence to the floor when dialing, then they're able to pick each other up. And especially, I was actually started off as an agent. So being able to work in a culture where you're able to grow and be in the same kind of industry, being able to help sell that from what you're dialing helped out a lot as well.
Right. So when you look at that CARE and you say, running acronyms every day, is it like, what do you guys do with that?
So it's posted above all the agents' desks. So when they're dialing. So like Jack said, we do all the meetings throughout the days. So we'll talk to each agent. We run reports and scorecards. So we're asking them every day, well, is there anything that you need to work on? Is your confidence there? Is your energy there? What's your report? What's your just kind of overall substance of that? And just being able to work off of that.
No, and like the reports every day, right? The connection, having those conversations, is big, right? Because now you think about the outbounding and what goes involved with that. It can be. I mean, you talked about picking each other up. What do you guys, in terms of like any business, really, for this matter? This just does not involve, what you guys do specifically. I mean, shit in our business, right? I mean, asked me how my day went on Friday last week. It was absolutely atrocious and shitty. Was not happy at the end of the day, and I was pretty down. Obviously, there's some things that were able to help pick myself back up. What are some things that I guess you guys have seen, or some of the other individuals have seen, to be able to help others, uplift them when they're having a rough day?
Yeah, so just being able to hop into a meeting with each other and role play, right? Role play is a huge thing that we do. And a big piece is just like you said, lifting people up. Somebody gets a lead or a sale or something. There's a group of agents that go over to that agent and celebrate that with them.
Hey, let's have a little fun. Meet Zach. Zach, come sit down for a minute. Sorry.
Are we going to role play?
Swapping
No,
out?
I'm going to. So literally understand, he didn't know this. Just kind of this is Zach. Zach's an agent here. So
yes, sir,
now why don't you ask from an agent perspective, how do they roll? I mean, because forget my opinion, he's on the phones 8 hours a day.
Yeah, so
just fire away at him. The audience wants to know, right? Like from a telemarketer, from an agent perspective, what do they deal with? I mean, you've been here for how long now?
Over a year, about 14 months.
So what do you deal with? What's a day like?
You know, a lot of customer service. You know, before I had this job, I didn't have any phone experience, but I was so confident in my ability to speak to customers that I thought I could be good here. And it definitely translates, and it's a little bit easier too. But you know, it's just a lot of talking, and I find it super fun because once you get on a little roll, the ball just keeps rolling, and you just got to feed into everybody else's energy here, which everybody's got awesome energy. That's why I've been here so long, and yeah, it's just not like your typical call center, man. It's super fun here. The vibes here are awesome, and yeah, you just get a lot of customers, and you deal with a bunch of different things. You know, you call for HVAC, you expect to hear the same sort of things, and it kind of is, but it's a pretty fun environment, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't change a thing.
Let's put you on the spot. What's the most wildest thing you've heard on the other end?
I had
tell them about the Russian spy.
no.
This is incredible. So, and this will tell you people. Do you know the story?
I don't know it off the top of my head.
I'll tell you the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this is incredible. So we had a contest. Contest was whoever can find the most unique call. It was like $100, $200, whatever it was. We gave them a week. Find me the most unique phone call. What happens? And we got a winner. What's the winner? Guy picks up the phone. He is a Russian mobster. And I'm talking delivering it like you would never, like in the movies. He's just hardcore, just like giving the agent a hard time. And agent's like, no, and this was, I can say the name, it's okay. It's a service expert customer. And so he's going on. We said the name at the beginning, he didn't hear. And then they're like, sir, I'm sorry. We're just calling, from service expert, wanted to thank you for being a loyal customer. He goes, oh shit. I didn't realize that this was my HVAC company. I was pretending to be a Russian mobster. I'm so sorry. Please don't turn my account off. People, you got to have fun, and that agent handled it amazing. She laughed, she welcomed it, and she booked his tune-up. But it shows, all the different owners and centers out there. Your customers want to hear from you. Here was a guy that was trying to give your typical outbound caller a hard time, like a lot of people do. But when he realized it was his actual HVAC company that was calling out to let them know that they care, he switched his tone really fast and apologized. And, oh my God, thank you so much for calling. I need that tune-up.
Here's something that is very like I'm reading between the lines on this, and when it mainly because I've had outbound experience, myself, right? The more fun that you have and the more fun that you convey, the person on the other end of the line wants to actually have that conversation, right? And so this is a critical thing though, because keep in mind, what's the image of your business? What are you trying to portray from there? When you're talking about, service experts and using this example, the agent roll with it, they love fun, they're laughing, they're having a good time, thinking they're the people that are calling are an extension of the business, right? And if you have a great culture, they're going to have fun. If the person that you've hired, a lead call, has a great culture, they're going to have fun. And now you've created this brand continuity, which goes back to these offers that we had at the very beginning, right? Very important thing to highlight.
So, and I think that's part of the equation as well. I think just as important a piece of that puzzle is, people ask all the time, yes, have a fun environment, but in any business, right? If your team doesn't know that you care about them, and not just empty words, but actions, that they truly know that you care about them, that's just as important in that culture. If they know that you care about their family, we always, challenge our leadership. Don't just ask them about work. Get to know who they are. Let them know that you care about them. And when they get in that environment, pay them well, healthy culture, have fun, but know that they're respected. Now they deliver that on the phone. And especially with a lot of our private equities, what do you think the biggest question is? Jack, I'm not comfortable giving you my customers. I got, 2 decades into this company, and we put a lot of effort to build what we built today. I don't know, why should I be comfortable handing that data over to you? And so part of our role in that sales process for, our sales team is to deliver that piece and explain our culture so they can understand the why. Why is our team going to not only, meet your expectations, but they're going to exceed it. So if you stood behind them, you would applaud. A lot of our customers, you're calling their customers. Who's their customers? It's the owners. It's the service techs. It's all the different, admin within that office. And when we call them, they're not like, by the way, this is the service manager. They tear them apart. They tear them apart, as I would as well, as you would if someone called you. And it always ends with, man, that was amazing. I gave you a really hard time and you did phenomenal. And so when we go on Zoom calls, to be able to share stories like that that's what lowers the guard to give someone the comfort level to say, let's do it. So if you're doing it internally as well, though, right, you got to be able to create that same, I don't want to babysit my team. I want you to know the vision that we have and make it a world-class experience for our customers and get out there and let's do it.
Mm-hmm. I always think when given a hard time, Boiler Room. I don't know if you watched the movie. Yeah. When he's doing the outbound calling and the guy calls to sound like the subscription to the newspaper and he gives them feedback on how to be better and coaches them all the way through. And they're like, that's a great presentation, but I'm still not interested.
Click.
Click. A lot of fun. So, Evan, if you have any follow-up questions, if not, we can jump into the random question.
Yep, go for that.
All right. So random question is brought to you by On Purpose Media, where we actually don't have anything funny written down this time because our content writer who writes it is off sick. So we're just going to roll with it. But basically, if you're internet marketing, if you ever wanted a second opinion, if your digital sphere is not on point, well, reach out to us on Purpose Media. .ca/marketing-analysis. Put that guy up on the screen. No obligation marketing analysis where we'll go over everything that you do. Poke holes on it, but that's kind of pretty easy to do. But give you actionable steps for you to get better at your business. So, random question. I actually have 4 questions queued up here, Jack.
I love it.
You don't. You've been watching the show, so you kind of know the flow. You don't actually get to know what the questions are. You just get to choose if you want what's behind door number 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Let's go with something different, bro. You're always talking about 3, so let's go with number 4.
All right. What? I copied and pasted this during the show. So what's
if it's lame, I'm not going to answer it, brother. So
all right. Well, if you could design a video game about anything, what topic would you choose?
You know what? Let's go the youngster here.
He's like, that's a stupid question. I'm going to get somebody else to answer that.
No, it's okay though. He's young. Video games. Let's go. So if you're going to do a video game, what would it be?
I would do, let's see, an open world kind of a simulator. Doing something totally different than what I do in my life, right? Just being able to go into different work industries or kind of like GTA, but not as crazy, right? So just an open world where you could really just do anything, get a job, have a family, build houses, all that type of stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
Can I answer now? I would do a GTA type of environment within a call center. we're going to be the GTA call center, bro. It'll be the #1 game in the market, bro. Hey, wait. I'm sorry. You don't like bro or brother, do you?
You saw that post. Saw that post. So, but there was somebody was sending me a message, and like literally at the end of every sentence, it was brother.
I'm not your brother. Right.
Like,
especially when you're trying to sell me something.
You're trying to sell me something, like fuck off. And then the person that then after I did the post, obviously they didn't read it. They're not friends in my Facebook world, called me. And I almost wanted to tell the person, I'm like, dude, just stop calling me brother, man.
Right.
I'm not your brother. I'm not your bro. I run a business.
Right.
You're trying to represent a business. Right. Maybe let's put on a professional aura about your outbounding strategies in that. Like there was clearly no script, and I kind of ran him pretty hard on that call.
That's okay, and I think you did that. I think what you did is probably teach something as well, because different environments. Some of our customers are okay with calling them by their first name, but especially in the private equity world, they want us to call you Mrs. Johnson, Mr. Johnson. You know, that they want that professionalism. That's the theme that they created in their own culture. And especially they didn't ask you to call them, give them the respect they deserve.
Right. So, how do you distinguish them between first name and last name? How do you know what you want to call them? Do you want to call them, Bob, or you want to call him Mr. Smith, right?
No. I mean, again, majority of our private equities, we're calling them by their last name. Depends on the type of company as well. Some of us want us to call them by their first name. It's a hometown, been there for 57 years. They want us to call them Bob. They don't want them to call them Mr. Jones. So, but for the most part, we also go to if we allow the flexibility, I want them to relate to their audience. If you're picking up the phone and you're chill, and I might call you, Thaddeus. If it's an older gentleman, I'm for sure calling him Mr. Evans.
All right. So I guess with that, have you noticed a different level of data and conversion aspects on first name versus last name?
100%. So if you're calling it in the South, you better be calling them by the last name. And so you need to know your audience, I guess would be the best definition of that.
Mhm.
And
Have you
so,
seen-
yes, the yields of results will be night and day. You go ahead and, call Oklahoma and, let a retiree and call him Bob and see how that works out for you.
How
sense.
much does the different companies' culture influence your approach and your communication?
So we have a really solid team. I have a director of client services, and she has a whole team underneath her. And we want to know everything. So we'll counsel, we'll coach on how to have the most effective programs and get unique in the different lanes that you can travel on. But we want them to quarterback the show. I want them to let us know, even within their CRM, how do you want it labeled? But more importantly, how do you want us to address your customers? What happens when there's a customer service issue? Don't wait till it's already there. Have the protocol. What happens when someone's upset? Who does that get handed off to? Do you want us to have open dialogue, or do you want us to simply refer that we're going to have, a general manager get right back to you? And everyone's different. I don't think there's a protocol that's the same. It's across the board with all of our customers.
Got it.
We have a lot of data, a lot of insight, but let's say you have an irate customer about an appointment that wasn't missed, or they installed the wrong product. I can see it within their CRM what happened, but I don't have the knowledge if there was already phone calls that was presented to the office manager. And I don't think you want that call center to handle those calls anyways. Hand it back off to the GM or an office manager that will handle it in a more effective manner.
Right. When it comes to the handoff from the company to you, what qualities, characteristics from that company do you notice heavily influences the success of your outbound campaigns?
So we call it our onboarding, right? And so Leslie's my director of client services. I don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, nor should you within your own, internal call team. I want to know the highlights. I want to know, what do they do currently? And if an owner, if he or she had a magic wand of how they want that conversation to flow, that's Leslie and her team's job, is to identify on that onboarding call. Mm-hmm. And so we learn, all the different pricing components so that we sound educated. And when the answers that are being given are accurate, I don't want to give a wrong price for, what a plumbing inspection is. You need to have full, data on any dialogue that might come up during that call. So we have a 3-4 day process to onboard a customer so the team can learn all those components, such as that.
And are there certain qualities that you noticed within that process that those companies possess, or certain ways that they handle the customer relationships, or the certain communications that they already have internally that is allowing for you to have an even more successful outbound campaign?
So let's talk about, like, where does a campaign ever go wrong? And the only time I really ever witness that is if someone doesn't have the integrity of their data. So we're talking about, how do we help, current HVAC owners as well that are running internal teams keep the integrity of their data intact. And so the first thing I look at is I ask the question, hey, how often do you reach your customers? What's the frequency that you reach out? When you're using CHIIRP, when you're using your media, and when you're doing your outbound, what's the frequency? And when I hear someone tell me that, oh man, I hit them every week, I don't want that customer. The integrity that we kind of coach on is, 90 days. If I'm going to do an outbound phone call to you, I'll do 3 attempts. I'll spread it out a morning and evening, perhaps a Saturday, over a 5 or 10 day period, but I'm not touching it again for 90 days. And so that cadence that you have on how you reach out to your customers has tremendous impact on the success you have. We'll have a campaign that kick off that they haven't dialed them all year. I want to hit at least a 5, 6, 7, 8% conversion on non-members. Give me someone that you haven't reached out in a year, and I'll be 15% conversion. Give me someone that you reach out to every week, and you'll be lucky if you hit 2%.
Just because they're annoyed and they're done.
Yeah, they don't, and they'll voice it. Stop calling.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten 17 texts from you. I have my mailbox is full of your postcards every other day. And now you're calling me on top of it. And so they don't mind you reaching out as long as that respect is there and it's done in a cadence that is, tolerable, that's not going to become that nuisance.
Well, and are you constantly trying to sell me something, or are you going to actually add some value to me?
Right. And again, those happy calls, how important are those? Just to simply call. I'm not going to sell you anything. I just want to know how is everything going.
Right.
How was that tech when they came out there? And strategically, like we did a campaign. And again, we love our techs; they're great. Doesn't mean they're necessarily great salespeople. So we did a campaign for a focus on memberships. We booked 100 appointments of homeowners that said, yes, I want to sign up for a service plan. Take a stab. So we completed the 100 appointments. They ran the appointments. How many booked the actual service agreement? Just give me a number.
10.
So I would have thought 60 or 70, right? The
That's
number
what I would hope for.
the number was 12.
Yeah.
And so was it a lack of quality of appointment? No. It was those techs came in, they did their tune-up that they were supposed to do, and they went home. They didn't even ask. So we said,
Didn't
hey,
even talk about it.
didn't even talk about it. So again, your internal house, your in-house team, we said, hey, let's find a solution. I don't want to hear, let's, how do we move forward and get past this? Let's take the credit card over the phone. So we got creative. We said, hey, if it's a $15 a month service plan, waive the first month. So now, Evan, I'm on the phone with you and I'm saying, you know what, let's get you signed up for this plan. In fact, if I can get your credit card right now, I'll waive that first month for you. We average a 68% conversion on that first phone call. And then the texts were picking up at least 10, 11%. Now I'm going to threshold, at that 80% level.
Right.
And so again, strategically, what are you doing with your numbers? Are you looking at your numbers? Are you allowing that data to tell a story so that you can know how to react to it?
So on the topic of numbers, what KPIs are you looking for in terms of booking rates, conversion rates, and then turnover rates on the technician side?
So let's talk about just like the primary campaign that we'll dial when you start up as a new customer. Before you start doing all the creative different lanes, take your 3 to 18 month customer that you haven't been in their house, non-members, and again, if your focal point is going to be memberships, get me newer units. You want service and sales, like we said earlier, get me age units. A minimum conversion should be 5%. So if you want to set that threshold, and in a lot of the consulting we do, I see 3%, I see 2.5%, I see a high threshold of 5%. When we look at our board and we analyze our numbers, we're between 5 and 15%. And so, 3 to 18 months non-member, 5% conversion. On your run rate, that you're actually booking them out, you should be a minimum 80%. And, why won't you be? Don't do outbound calls if you're booked up the next 30 days. You're going to book a call now for middle February. Thaddeus, what's the chance you're home? I book it today for February 3rd. You're not going to be home. And so then
no, probably not. We're actually probably going somewhere warm. It's fucking Canada, man. It's cold as shit. I'm getting out of here.
Can I go?
Sure. You paying?
I mean, sure.
All right, cool. Done. So, in that case, 5-star resort.
Let's go. That's how we're going to, man. But literally serious, right? Like, don't take that lightly. You're going to make outbound calls. Don't just wing it. Sit down, have a plan, look at your data, look at your boards, create that right offer, and have a way to measure it. Performance, you asked about, Evan. I expect my agents on a non-member call to be producing at a minimum 1.75 leads per hour. Our best agents are 3 leads an hour. Our lower tier agents are maybe about 1.25. And so, again, how do you set goals if you don't know what those expectations and KPIs are?
Right.
And so, those are some of the components when we come out to consult that I'm going to ask, what do you have? If I ask one of your agents right now, what are their expectations? Do they know? What's your reward for hitting it? What's your recognition? How are you processing that piece of it?
They probably have no clue.
Some do a really good job, man.
Some do. Yeah, probably
Right.
10. Like what? 5-10%, right? I mean, I'm just trying to think anecdotally here, but one of the things that you'd actually mentioned it too just now, but you also kind of alluded to it earlier, is making sure. So when you're onboarding somebody, right, there's a lot of information that you guys gather, and I'm curious on all that information that you guys are gathering. How many people know it like that?
Are you talking about my team or who?
The clients. So, Bob's Plumbing, Bob's Heating and Cooling, whatever you want to call it.
I don't care if it's a $2 million company or $2 billion company. It's all across the board. You have on some of these larger private equities, there's such a big turnover still in that lane, and they're coming to us and they're asking us to coach them on what those expectations should be, and to ask, do they know their numbers? A lot of them don't. And so like we did an event with Service Titan with Angie Snow, and that was one of the questions that was asked that we put out to the floor, and 75% of them had that blank face, and they were, what should it be? And it's great, right? They were there to learn, and that's what they did.
Love it.
Yeah, and that goes to the part of the point that I was making is that it is so all over the map. There is so much information that goes into it. There is so much continuity that one needs to have. That if you're hearing this podcast, you're like, I'm just going to try outbound myself. Well, make sure you have a plan in place. Make sure what you're saying is the same message across the board. Don't have a new client and a non-new client special rate and a member rate and a non-member rate. Like, just make sure that shit's the same, because there is a lot of information that goes into it.
Right. And what about the customer that only has 3,000 customers? What do they do? You take that 3 to 18 months, it might be 600 records. Great. Let's exhaust that. Let's use that integrity. Let's roll it out every 90 days. Now, what about crossover? How do I get your plumbing into HVAC? How do I get my electrical into plumbing? And so get creative with it. We had a customer the other day, their portal on HVAC was just jammed. They had zero. It was a Thursday. They had no appointments moving Monday forward for plumbing. He's like, just get me in the house. Offer a free camera inspection. Wonderful. Let's do it. We booked them 143 appointments that next week. Their average ticket was above what they wanted it to be. They just got in the door. So get creative with the different lanes you can do. People ask, what else? What are other successful campaigns you can do? Do a buyback program. Take someone that did a repair in the last 6 months or 12 months and, up to $1,500, whatever that amount is. I'll put that back towards a new unit. Phenomenal success with that. So the open tickets, there's so many different ways to travel down multiple different creative campaigns. And, if you're measuring, then you just continue to, focus on what works.
Well, and I think you had a good thing. It's a foot in the door offer, right? You talk about plumbing in a drain inspection, right? Free camera inspection. Okay, well, some people will balk at that. Like, well, I'm going to go to a house and offer something for free. Well, if you have a great process when you're in there, to be able to add value to that homeowner, to be able to increase the ticket, to be able to spot other things, that's where you're going to make that back.
100%. But then what does that go into? Training your techs, right? Giving them the skill sets they need to be able to go in there and offer value. You're not just there to be some bold, take advantage, of the opportunity you're in their house. Sell them the value of what they should be doing, right? Like our average tickets are about 20% higher than most in-house teams. What's the magic? It's not magic. I educate them at the conclusion of that phone call after we book that value and some urgency. When we give that offer, we're letting them know that, Thaddeus, because this price is $69 right now, we are filling up really fast. We're hitting winter. I want to make sure you take advantage of it. There's the urgency that they booked the appointment. At the conclusion of the call, we just educate. Thaddeus, equipment pricing has been going up. It's not slowing down. Is there an opportunity for furnace AC, air purification? Can I let the tech know? We'll book 2-3 sales opportunities a day from that simple question. But people don't ask, they don't get.
Ask and you shall receive.
Yes, sir.
How many lists do you ask for to segment out? Like, I know you talked about the 3 to 18 months. You talked about member versus non-member. You talk about crossover opportunities. How many different segmented lists do you ask for so that you can present a unique offer to that specific list?
Right. So again, it depends on your audience, especially from our lane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what if someone only has, our minimum is normally 2,000 records at a minimum for any campaign. What if it's a new player in the lane and they have 1,200 customers? Right. And so I'm here to make an impact. I want to help people grow and learn how to do outbound successfully. And so, though our minimum is 2,000, if someone had 500 records, let me help you. I'm not gonna put a boundary on that. To answer that question though, specifically to our campaigns, I have customers that give you as little as that 2,000 records, and we have our larger clients that are over 1 million records. So it's all over the board. At any one point in time while you're doing a campaign, that threshold shouldn't be more than 5,000 to 10,000 records that you're going to burn through within that 3 days. Obviously, you need to have a significant team to hit that data. But whether someone gives me 3,000 records or 20,000 records, we're going to go through it within 3 days, 3 attempts. We're going to interval it between 3 and 4 days in between dials. So if I dial on a Monday morning, I'm going to dial it Thursday evening. and then whatever performed best, I'm going to hit that one, or I'll hit that following Saturday if they have the staff to handle that inbound call. That's another side of it. Some people mask their ID, right? Or they put some unavailable number. What are you doing? They're like, oh, if I put my caller ID on there, my phone's ringing. Yeah, your phone's ringing. I'll get sometimes a customer, they'll call, they'll be like, hey, man, you got to stop. Why? Man, our phone's ringing off the hook. Well, and that's a problem.
Right.
And so
Right.
they got to be prepared, though. It is a problem if Susie's running the office and she's there by herself and she's doing 50,000 other tasks, then don't do an outbound campaign yet. Let's wait for the timing to be, in a position that you can do it well.
How much of the offer planning goes into what it is that the business is actually experts at? Like an example I'll use is, we've got some clients that are amazing at getting a high average ticket on tune-up calls because they add a ton of value. They take their time, they run through every option, they present every option, let a customer decide. Other customers that are not so great at those tune-up calls, but their service turnover is spectacular.
Sure.
Their plumbing average ticket is way higher than their HVAC.
Right.
With those different campaigns, those different specialties, the different expertise that a business has, how much do you cater that so that they can be profitable on the campaigns that they're running?
So I think they look at it, especially the ones that have a good strategy as we go into these campaigns. They have us place those calls based on skill level of their tech.
Right.
Right. And so I think that's the most important component, is who you send out to that house based on the opportunity that's there. We talked about the cadence. It's not just those 3 phone calls. We partner with CHIIRP. And so after those 3 attempts, that 4th attempt is going to be a SMS message. All the years that I've done this, up until 3 years ago, that 3rd phone call, we ended it with a voicemail. Well, we were almost 400% increase on connection by converting that to an SMS rather than a voicemail. Nice. And so use the technology out there. CHIIRP, they're a sponsor of yours. They're an amazing technology that we utilize, and with phenomenal results.
Well, I think about myself, right? And
CHIIRP, I want some money for this, by the way, bro. Anyone you sell.
Actually, if you do like it, there's a link here, chirp.com/HSSR. You get 25% off your first 3 months when you use that link. So, but look, SMS is a real thing too, right? And it's massive and it's powerful. Now, because you think about that, I mean, when was the last time that you received a text message that you didn't open?
Right. And
right.
Respond, right. I mean,
and respond, or you read, right? Or if it's, especially if it's a text message from the same number that just called 3 times, and there's ways that I'm sure, because you mentioned, setting out the right, masking number, right? So they call back and it's the number for the office versus an outbound number. There's so much technology that goes involved with that, but it's a powerful automation and conversion tool to be able to leverage that, because sometimes people are busy. They're on a podcast and they might get a phone call, and somebody leaves them a voicemail. Like, I loathe voicemails. I'll sometimes go days without checking on. Like, that's why usually if I call somebody and they don't answer, I'm usually going to try to send them a text message if I know that's a cell phone. So that way it's just like, okay, great, they got it, right?
If you looked at your phone right now, how many unread emails do you have?
Which email account?
Right.
True.
So my 2 email accounts, I'll just do a quick look for you, because I have 6 in one and 10 in the other. Those are my 2 emails that I look at.
Evan, what about you, bro? Because that's not normal.
Yeah.
Thaddeus, you're not normal, bro.
On my business email, there's 5 unread.
Okay.
On my personal email, there is 39,000 unread.
Yeah, my personal email, there's 562,000.
Oh God, my anxiety went through the roof.
Okay. Hey, listen, just take a sip. Right?
Well, on the business side, we have
a solution to all of life's problems.
Right. We have an amazing individual named Anna who helps mainly Evan keep his life in organizational check on the business side. But your guys' 2 examples on the personal side is like, I just hate unread emails, and I unsubscribe from a lot of stuff because that's why I can get it down a lot. But you are right? I mean, text messages are one of those things that, especially if you make it personal, you make it engaging, right? It's going to move the needle quite a bit.
But going back to your main focal point, man, SMS, right? That's how many appointments I forget about in a day, and I get that alert that morning. I'm like, oh shit, that's today. And so in your outbound efforts, after you go through whatever that cadence you have down at 2-3 times, end it with a SMS message.
Yep.
Short, sweet,
Cur-
to the point.
Curious, do you have data on the increase in conversion with that text message that goes out?
We'll add another point. So if we're at that 5%, we'll add a full point with the SMS component.
No,
Majority
just
of
like
the
that.
time.
Just like
Again, though, are you abusing your SMS?
Right.
You know, you're sending them, even a message every 2-3 weeks. You're not going to be a point. You'll be lucky if you're at a 0.25.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
have integrity in the way that you manage your database and your customers.
No, it's extremely important. Jack, this has been absolutely fantastic. The value that you have brought on this call has been tremendous. We want to make sure that everyone who thinks about all of these different things in terms of outbounding, because you've given us a wide list of things that we need to be thinking about if we're bringing this in-house. If you do not want to bring it in-house, how can people get a hold of you?
So that is, if you can put my email up there as well, the jack@elitecall.net. I'll tell you this. Of course, if you want to outsource, we'd love the opportunity to have some dialogue, hop on a Zoom call, but just as important as serving the community the way we do. If I can help anyone, in your in-house call center, you can call me. If you want to talk to my directors of quality assurance and coaching, I'll share all the knowledge I have with you to help you build your team to be stronger. So don't be shy. Reach out. We have an amazing industry that we're all in together. We want to impact lives together, and just know we're 100% vested to help any way we can.
No, 100%. And if you're just like, fuck it, it seems like way too much work to build it in-house, just go to elitecall.net, get in touch with them on their many ways that you can, and they'll be sure to help you out because
Yes.
Outbounding is key. And look, as we're transitioning into 2024, what's going to be, some people already are saying it is here, it's going to be a pivotal part. It's going to be a pivotal thing to be able to own your database and own your backyard, as Billy Stevenism is own your backyard, but also to own your database, own your client list, make sure that they're not going somewhere else because you're staying front and center with them, right? Super impactful, super key piece as we transition to a different sort of economy in 2024. But before we wrap up,
and one more.
All right.
We had a CEO of it's a $1 billion company. Their CEO came into our office environment, especially mild weather this year. And so I'm telling you, if I can help you build your in-house team as well, reach out to me and I'll connect you with the team. But he literally flew across the country to thank us, to say, hey, in the midst of 2023, this was just 3 weeks ago, in the midst of the most mild weather that we've had, we've exceeded every financial goal that we had because of the program that we did with Elite Call. And it doesn't matter if it's with us or you do it in-house. Build a successful outbound team. Don't force your in-house agents to try to do outbound. That they'll do it because you tell them it's part of their job, but they're not necessarily very good at it. And so, again, if I can help you understand what that characteristics look like for an outbound agent, let's rock this out for 2024.
Well, that's the love, the value add, right? And that's why when we originally chatted in Profit Rocket, I want to have you guys on the show, right? It's not just about your business, it's about helping other people, right? When you can help other people, it truly matters, right? Our last question.
Do
it. You probably already know what it is. Okay. What is one question that you wish people would ask you more, but don't?
I did hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to shock you. It's going to shock both of you. And I'm sure you're asking this question right now. Is where does Jack get the Southern accent from? Like literally, where are the roots from the Southern link that I have? Right. That is, you're sitting in this whole time going that twang.
You have a twang.
Yeah, it's not Southern. I don't. I would tell you this, and I would ask others, right? Like that. I would ask that they ask themselves. Is we make all these decisions, and sometimes we don't understand, or we don't ask ourselves, what's the implications of what that decision is going to do to others. Don't be so fast. Make quick choices, right? Lead well, but understand the impact that move is going to have on your team, and it's something that we do really well here. Before we make especially a big strategic move, is what's the impact of it? What are the possible consequences of it? So ask yourself those questions as well. I got two for you since you get to rock me out this whole show. Everyone knows you pretty well. I don't know you as well, but you got some good friends on here. We'll start with you, Thaddeus. Give me something that not very many people would know about you.
My first time ever on an airplane, I was 19 and I jumped out of the motherfucker.
Woo! And you're
There you go.
talking about it. You answered that way too fast, brother.
It's not that many people know about it. I don't talk about it very often. And that was, I grew up in a town of 5,000 people. I lived a sheltered life.
Stop talking, dude. Evan's got time to think about this. Look at his eyes right now.
You're gonna ask him something different. You're gonna ask
no bull crap, Evan. Same question, man. Something that people don't know about you.
When I was 2 3/4, I broke my femur, spent 6 weeks in traction, and another 4 months in a full body cast.
Wow. You know what? You just encouraged me because I've been walking around with this boot for about 8 weeks now. I broke my foot, and hearing that, man, I don't feel so bad. Thank you.
No. And imagine keeping a 2-year-old down who was fairly active at the time. So
imagine keeping me down, bro. This has been a humbling experience, man. Slowing down the pace, but
I mean, sometimes I'd like to keep my 2-year-old down.
don't get no ideas, Thaddeus. Thank you both. Like literally, it's a privilege. It's a blessing. That you two do what you do, because the reason I wanted to be on this show is you're sincere. You're trying to make an impact, and you're helping others grow, and you're doing it for the right reason. And that's my motivation to get on here as well. So thank you for what you both do to the industry. Prayers for everyone to have a safe holiday, a Merry Christmas, and just thank you for having me on the show, brher.
Likewise.
I called you brother. I called you brother.
But see, in that instance, like it was a one-off
Sincere.
in conversation, sincere, not every single after every single sentence you were saying it. So
no, thank you. I appreciate both of you, man. There's going to be a lot of great things. We're excited to be a sponsor for 2024. Let's rock it out.
All right. Well, and
until next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, 2 quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business. Until next time, cheers.